participants from the industry and HR domain. I welcome you all on today's program on the new labor codes announced by the Government of India. Friends, I take this opportunity to say a few words about our organization. PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry has been working as a catalyst for the promotion of Indian industry, trade, and entrepreneurship for the past 115 years. PhD Chamber has a special focus on MSMEs, which are the backbone of the Indian economy at the grassroots levels, with strong national and international linkages for propelling progress, harmony, and integrated development of the Indian economy. The Chamber has been actively pushing the industry's perspective to the various departments of the state and the central government from time to time. The Chamber organized many interactions with the Haryana state government during the initial days of lockdown and played a vital and an instrumental role in opening of industry in the Haryana state and also solving a lot of the small and a lot of issues of labor, electricity, etc. with the Haryana government. There is a considerable amount of discussion happening around ease of doing business in India. One of the very important ingredients toward this has been the innumerable labor laws prevalent in the country. The government is doing its best to consolidate the laws, but the speed of change historically has been very slow. If entrepreneurship is going to be the next job creator, a lot needs to happen. The new labor codes are a big leap in the direction and are meant to improve ease of doing business. India's parliament approved three labor codes on September 22nd, 23rd in a very historic move to consolidate the country's labor legislation and compliance norms. The codes are Industrial Relations Code Bill 2020, Code on Social Security Bill 2020, and the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions 2020. The respective bills bring workers and interstate migrant workers into the ambit of social security for the first time. The new labor codes will provide a very transparent system to suit the changed business environment. Business will find that the new codes make it easier for them to be flexible in their hiring and firing decisions, as well as in shutting down operations in the country. Together, the four codes consolidate 29 central labor laws and deliver on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government's long-standing promise to disentangle India's complex labor legislation framework and improve the ease of doing business in the country. Kudos to the Prime Minister. The successful implementation of these labor reforms will be key to attracting more foreign investment and to get India's GDP growth trajectory back on track after an unprecedented contraction in the first quarter of this year due to the extended lockdowns under COVID-19. Businesses in India will benefit from the reduction in licensing requirements and paperwork, as well as the cost associated with multiple compliance obligations, which in turn could incentivize their capital invested into core business operations, thereby enabling the creation of new jobs or sustaining employment. India's Labour Ministry supported the framing of the new codes based on changes in technology, work methodology, and nature of work, and workplace facilities in recent decades. The government held that these transformations had warranted changes to India's labour regulation. Industries and workers depend on each other to progress, and the new codes aim to balance their rights and obligations. Labour law reforms in India have been a critical component of the Modi government's effort to improve the country's business environment for foreign investors. As per the World Bank's Doing Business 2020 report, India jumped 14 points to rank 63 in the ease of doing business rankings. And India has been steadily improving the rankings. Over a period of 5 years, India has improved its rank by 79 positions. And I'm very confident with these new labor reforms, this position is going to get consolidated further and improve further. The new labor codes hopes to establish a labor compliance regime that is based on one labor return, one license, and one registration. Currently, employers must maintain 8 registrations and 4 licenses to run a business. The new codes also direct the digitization of the labor compliance regime in India, which should further ease doing of business. With these words, I once again welcome you all, and I'm sure with the presence of all senior government official, industry champions, members of the PhD Chamber, other members, we will have a very fruitful and engaging, beneficial discussion in this program. I take this opportunity now to invite Mr. Sanjeev Upadhyay, founder Ubik Talent Solutions and moderator of today's session. Just to introduce Mr. Upadhyay is a senior HR professional having versatile experience in managing HR functions in very large organizations. He's having more than 23 years plus experience in human resources in the consulting field. He served at very senior leadership positions with organizations like Piramal, USV, Alchem, Glenmark, Spice, Digital, etc. He's driven business performances through HR interventions, OD initiatives, and he's managed global HR functions in India, US, Sri Lanka, etc. He's got a multi-geographical experience working in Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, HP, Gujarat, Maharashtra. So he's pretty much a well-rounded personality, worked in a lot of locations within India, outside India. So a warm welcome to you, Mr. Sanjeev, and I'll now hand over the session to you, and you just will be taking over from here and moderating today's session. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Gupta, and thank you very much for setting the tone. You have in detail told about the new legislations, and how it's impacting the industry. Thank you very much for your kind words. So it's a great honor to be the part of this program organized in association with PhD Chamber of Commerce. I would also like to welcome distinguished panelists and all participants representing entrepreneurs, owners, operation managers, HR managers, and consultants. It's a great opportunity to talk about the subject, interpret and implement new labor codes. It's an important subject, particularly when the whole world is fighting the pandemic, adverse effects on life, economy, and employment. Before we go to panelists, let me brief you about the flow of the program today. For the better understanding of the subject, we have divided the flow broadly into 3 sections. Part 1 is highlight of the codes. The lead speaker will be Advocate Alva. Part 2 will be the industry perspective. We will be seeking advice from Mr. Harbhajan Singh as to how industry is taking these changes. Part 3, we will take perspective on how these codes can be leveraged for a better IR scenario. The leading speaker will be Dr. G.P. Rao. We have planned to take up your questions in the last part of the program. However, you can put across your questions anytime during the discussion in the chat box, and I already have some of the questions with me. Just on the lighter side, sometimes it is difficult to distinguish between opinion and questions. Therefore, we request you to put Q in front of your question. We'll try our best to make it a good interactive session. As a general rule, please keep your microphone mute. Now, coming back to the subject, just to set the context right, labor is a concurrent subject, hence we have laws both from center and states. To be precise, there are some 40 legislation of the center and more than 100 of states if all states combine together. Therefore, the need to provide a comprehensive and simplified framework was long awaited, and this was started somewhere in 2001 when the second National Labour Commission was set up. So today we have 4 codes, namely Code on Wages, which was passed in 2019, which is an amalgamation of some 4 legislation. Industrial Relation Code 2020, which is amalgamation of 3 legislation. Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code, which is amalgamation of 13 legislation, and Code on Social Security, which is the amalgamation of 9 legislations. Together combined, they form 411 clauses, 480 sections in some 286 pages, still manageable. Obvious intent of these changes seem to provide ease of doing business and encourage investment, which create employment. Important question will now be to find out how these codes will help the industry in driving its core objective of productivity, quality, and safety, along with greater industrial harmony. At the same time, how these codes will help employees to get fair share of their labor is something which we need to ask for. We exactly don't know, but we can listen to some of the experts from this field as to how the industrial relations scenario will shape up in future. And for that, we have some senior member of the industry. And there's a time to introduce the panelists for the day. Yeah. So our first panelist is Advocate Satyaraj Alva, Mumbai-based labor consultant, associated with some of the reputed organization in India. He is also General Secretary of Labor Law Practitioner Association Mumbai, and they actively gave their suggestion to the parliamentary committee which was set up for these courts. Welcome, Advocate Alva.
इसको स्लाइड मोड में डाल दीजिए, स्लाइड शो.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Our second panelist for the day is just one second. Is Dr. G.P. Rao, a senior HR/IR professional, founder of GPR HR Consulting, actively engaged in so many forums, either office bearer or advisor to Rotary International, Business Network International, Labor Law Institute. He's also a member of NHRD and IST, the NIPM, DMA, and FMA and SHRM. Inspirational speaker in 4 languages. And one of the important things I learned in the last few days is he's a high tech savvy man, helping us in so many subjects. Welcome, Dr. Rao.
Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Our third panelist for the day is Mr. Harbhajan Singh, who is the former director of Honda Motorcycle Scooters India Limited. He has been with Tata Steel for almost 30 years. Important is that he was vice president of Tata Worker Union and joint director of Michael Jones Center for Research and Human Resources Development. He is also associated with ILO and on projects on trade union organization and leadership development. A great person to listen to. So welcome all the panelists. I welcome you all, sir. So let's start with the first section, the highlights of the new codes. And I would like to invite Advocate Alva to lead this session, and of course we'll take help of Dr. Rao and Mr. Harbhajan Singh on subjects. So broadly, my questions will be to Mr. Alva. The start of the session is, I have received a lot of questions, same questions. What are the highlights of these codes, and how these changes will be helpful? Can we start with this? I'll just open the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Can I start? Sanjuji, can I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Chairman Pranavji Gupta, convener, members of the prestigious PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, panelists Dr. Rao, Harbhajan Singh, and Sanju. The topic given for me is the highlights of new labor codes. Before I go to the slide, I would say that my today's discussion would be limited to the MSME's line of business. Suppose if you look at the codes, people will want to know whether there is any simplification, digitalization, or the ease of conducting business has been done by this present code. Let's just dwell on that. So today I will be commenting mainly on the industrial relation code and then touching on the other 3 codes. Now coming to the slide, as you see, the industrial relation code amalgamates 3 existing acts. That means previously there was an Industrial Disputes Act, separate Trade Union Act, and the industrial employment, standing order duty, employee compensation, everything has been amalgamated into social security. Likewise, the other X factories, contract labor, workmen compensation, this has come under occupational safety, health and working conditions. The fourth one is on the code of wages, which includes minimum wages, payment of wages, and payment of bonuses. Now, uh, I would be limiting. Now, the best advantage of this is in all these four codes, there is a single meaning given to all the definition. Previously, the problem was in one act, the wages definition was different, the definition of a worker was different. Now, what they have done is same definition is borrowed in all these codes, are the same in all these codes. Now, before I come to the salient features, in what way it would be helping our chamber, I would just point out the major changes which are made in the definition. Now, for example, appropriate government definition is not connected to MSME, but what the government has done is in appropriate government, if the paid up capital is more than 51% and it is vested in the central government, the appropriate government becomes the central government. Now, during these days, we have heard about disinvestment. Now, naturally, the paid up share capital of the central government has come below 51%. But in the definition of appropriate government, the government has taken care to say that even if the paid up capital is below 51%, they will remain as the central government. So this is an indirect way to give job security or maintain consistency. Now the definition of employer, which would be related to our chamber, that has been expanded to include contractor, to include legal representatives. Previously, these were not considered to be the employer. They were dealt with at other contract labor acts and other. Now, the definition of the employer includes contractor, legal representatives. In the factory, the employer can be the occupier or any person nominated as a manager. Now, the best part is suppose appoint a manager who will take care of all this one. Then there is one more important definition which has been introduced. This is the fixed term employment. I will come to this in a more detailed way later on because this is one which would be helping our chamber in time to come. Then the strike, the definition of the strike has been changed. It is a common, this one. We know that normally what the workers do is 50% of them, they go on a mass absenteeism or they just report for duty and they don't work. Now the strike definition has changed. Suppose if there is a concert effort or mass absenteeism or a mass casualty of more than 50% of employees, then it would be considered to be a strike. And the second important thing is that 60 days notice are required before proceeding on strike. So these two factors is indirectly helping us to conduct our business in a more efficient manner. Then wages, the definition of a wages. Now we normally know for the purpose of ESI and PF, what we do is the basic wages, we consider it to be 30%, 35, 40%. And the rest of the things we do it under the allowances part because we have to pay PF, ESI on this wages part. So now what the government has done is government has defined wages to include basic pay, dearness allowance, and retention allowances. And the wages does not include the other part. I would say it does not include HRA, bonus, conveyance, PF, overtime, and all that. What is the effect? And one more clarification which the definition has said, other than wages, for example, basic, DA, and the retention allowances are there, retention allowances. Other than that, the other components are there. That cannot be more than 50%. Therefore, tomorrow a situation would come where suppose if the, for example, now PF is paid at the rate of 10%, it would be 10% of the wages. Now these wages would be 50% of your total gross salary. It would be, because the other allowances cannot be more than 50%. So indirectly, this would have an impact on our calculation. The ESI part, they were to increase the salary limit. In August, there was a notification that they were to do it at 30,000 per month, but it has not been taken forward. So this wages definition may also have an effect on our this one calculation. Then the definition of a worker, there is a slight confusion, but which is not related to us. But the definition of a worker now includes working journalist and also a sales promotion employee. The worker definition, even today, persons drawing salary limit of 18,000. So the anybody who is in a worker category, I would say clerical, technical, skilled, unskilled, operational, these are considered to be the nature of duties are considered to be workmen. Now the exception, managerial, administrative and supervisory, they don't come under the definition of the workmen. Only supervisors drawing less than 18,000 would be part of the workman definition. So this workman definition may not have a very serious effect because it is also almost in consonance with the earlier definition. Only now working journalists and sales promotion employees are being added. Then there is a new concept, works committee. If an establishment is employing more than 100 employees, then a works committee is required. One more concept, grievance redressal committee. So grievance redressal committee is required when I'm employing more than 20%, 20 employees. Now this will have a both side effect, which I will come on a later stage. Then the definition of trade union. Now the new code says that if there is only one union functioning, then they have to be recognized as the sole negotiating union. Then suppose if there are more than one union, then the union which is commanding 51% or more of the majority or the employee strength, then they are considered to be the sole negotiating union. And suppose if there are more than two unions, three unions, and nobody is having 51%, then proportionate representation are required. Now this negotiating uh, council, negotiating union probably will have a double weapon. The union can force the employer, or the employer can have his union of his choice and then manipulate everything, and for the betterment of this one. Then the standing orders. The standing order definition has been changed. Previously, it was applicable to 100 or more workers. If you are employing 100 or more workers, then you are supposed to have your own standing orders. But now the limit has gone to 300. So the plus point and minus point, I will just deal in that salient features. Then mechanism. See, this is not connected with this procedural part. Now the labor courts, industrial courts, instead of the labor court and industrial court, we'll have a two-member tribunal. One would be from the judicial side and one would be from the administrative side. Then one good thing is there, the dispute, there is a time bound limit. The dispute has to be raised within 2 years from your, say, whatever action, dismissal, discharge. That 2 years limit is given. And if there is a monetary dispute, which normally comes under 33C2 of the IDA, that has to be done within 1 year. And then the compounding of offenses. Now this compounding of offenses is a very good clause which has been included. What it provides is that suppose if there is an offense for any non-compliance and that offense is imprisonment or fine, in such cases, you can compound the offenses by paying 75% of the maximum fine. And in cases where there is only a fine imposed, there you can compound the offense by paying 50% of this maximum fine. So this compounding of offences is a better way the pressure tactics will go away. So this is the normal definitions which has been changed. I will just come to the next slide where the salient features where it would have an effect to the functioning of our establishment. The salient features on the basis of this definition, on the basis of this code, the what the changes, the whatever the changes has been done, how it would have a positive effect or be a problem for the functioning of the establishment, that I will just this one. These are the salient features. Now, the first one is dispute resolution. Previously, there was a very one forum, traditional courts. Something happens, the worker used to rush to the courts. The employer was had to get himself involved in terms of time and money. So this was the traditional forum. Now there are multiple avenues provided in this code. For example, grievance redressal committee. So this grievance, suppose if an employee has any grievance, he has to make an application to this grievance committee. Now, what this grievance committee is? Grievance committee is equal number of employees and equal number of employers representative. They will form a committee. It is like, I would say, panchayat system. Within the shop floor, within the company, there would be a grievance redressal committee. So suppose a person has any grievance, has any dispute regarding his employment, whatever. So he has to approach this grievance committee within 30 days. The grievance committee will hear him, they will try to find out a solution. Suppose if the worker is not satisfied or the worker is aggrieved by the order of the grievance committee, then he can go to the conciliation officer. So this is additional mode of dispute resolution. The second is voluntary arbitration. Now the things, there is a dispute between the union and the employer or the workers and the employer. So they can refer the matter voluntarily to a arbitrator. So this is one more forum. Now the third one is normally what happens is if a person is dismissed, the conciliation officer proceedings fails, it is sent to the government, government refers a reference. Now the one more avenue, which is slightly, I think, introduced some months back, this is the worker can approach the tribunal directly, voluntarily. He can approach the tribunal and directly file a reference before the labor court. These are the alternative dispute resolution. Now, the second one, the fixed term employment. Uh, the second slide, fixed term employment. Now, this I think fixed term employment may be a game changer in the functioning of our organization. Suppose if you can recall that in the earlier acts, Industrial Disputes Act, there was no definition, separate definition for fixed term employment. It was only provided in section 2000BB where they said that non-renewal of agreement is not retention. What it implied is suppose if a person, for example, I am building a project, I am having a project, I am building a office building, whatever, I am building a bridge. So these are all time-bound projects. For this time-bound project, suppose if I employ a consultant or if I employ a person, then I can pay him consolidated wages. And when the project is over, I can simply dispense with the services. I don't have to pay him retention compensation. So the earlier definition said the non-renewal of a contract does not amount to retention. I don't have to follow 25F and all that. So this was there in the earlier definition, and then it was laid down in many judgments, right from Robert D'Souza, 1984, all that. Now, this new term which has been put in this new code, fixed term employment, the wordings are engagement of a worker on the basis of a written contract for a fixed period. Now, when the word worker is there, so I can take advantage of this fixed term employment definition. Suppose my business does not require 12 months employment to be given to a person. My major part is only of 3 months, 6 months, whatever. So I can appoint a person on this fixed term employment. The
Alva sir, we cannot hear you. I guess there is some network problem at your end. Okay, in the meantime,
Dr. Rao, can you?
Yeah, actually, what Mr. Alva was trying to say about the fixed term, now the new definition of fixed term employment, if you don't require a person on a regular basis for all the 12 months, now you can hire a person for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I mean, it's very official, legal. That's what he's trying to explain to you. So that's one good provision.
one more.
Yeah, Mr. Alva. Yeah, you're there.
Okay, sorry, Dr. Rao. Yeah, correct. One more, this one, not only for the fixed term. You can hear my voice?
Yeah, audible.
You can hear my voice?
Okay. Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, sir, go ahead, sir.
Fixed term, I would say one more advantage is there, that unlike the earlier act, where suppose if I renew the contract, the code, you can hear me, no?
Yes.
I'm audible, sir?
You're audible.
Yes.
If you are not audible, we'll tell you. You go ahead. आप carry on.
Okay. Oh, sorry. In addition to this fixed tenure, now I can take advantage of this definition. I can appoint a worker for example, I would say, suppose if I want to engage a workman, I have to keep him on probation. Then I have to keep him on probation, and then I have to make him permanent. Tomorrow, suppose if I want to dispense with the services, then there is a very cumbersome procedure. I have to give him a charge sheet for misconduct, conduct an inquiry. Then the labor court says no, punishment is disproportionate. So these are all means where I am saddled with the employment of a person whom I don't require. Now the advantage of this is you can also keep a worker for a fixed tenure, and you can go on renewing his tenure. Say I employ him for 1 year, 2 years. If he's a good employee, good worker, I can extend his contract. So this is an advantage to the industry. Now the only side effect is that previously I was not supposed to pay him statutory benefits. Now suppose if I employ a person on a fixed term employment, then all the statutory benefits, ESI, PF, that has to be given to the employee. Even gratuity, normally for a person to be qualified, he has to complete nearly at least 5 years of service. But in fixed term employment, if a person has put in 1 year service, he has
Again, I think there's a network issue with Advocate Alva.
so I guess there is some network issue with Advocate Alva's end. So Dr. Rao,
Yeah. Mr. Alva ji को phone कीजिएगा. Let him come on his mobile phone. Sometimes laptop problem करता है. So on the fixed term employment, what Alva sir was trying to say is, एक तो है आप 6 महीने के लिए 9 महीने के लिए आप ले सकते हैं, आप उनको एक्सटेंशन दे सकते हैं, लेकिन एवरी बेनिफिट की कैनॉट बी ओनली फॉर द एम्प्लॉयर ना. आप अभी एक फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉई का भी ख्याल रखा है गवर्नमेंट ने. उसको पहले क्या होता था, ग्रेजुटी हम क्या हमारा 5 साल होगा ग्रेजुटी, ऐसा नहीं है. सो जो भी बेनिफिट्स है तो वो फिक्स टाइम एम्प्लॉय जैसे रेगुलर एम्प्लॉय जैसे उनको मिलेगा. 8 महीने के लिए 2 महीना, 2 साल रहा, 1.5 साल रहा, उसको मिलते जाएगा. दैट्स व्हाट ही वाज ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन द अदर साइड ऑफ इट.
Right. I think it's still not reachable. So
phone पे भी not reachable.
yeah. So let's put it there. So can I ask Dr. Rao to pitch in for some
नहीं,
more?
अभी हम लोग पहले इंडस्ट्री वाला बात कर लेते हैं, देन
हाँ.
ही कैन कम बैक ना. अभी जितना बात हुई है IR कोड का, उसका थोड़ा सा हरभजन जी से बात कर लेते हैं, देन विल कम बैक,
Yeah, yeah.
क्योंकि उनका एक राय अच्छा होता है.
So, Mr. Harbhajan Singh, let's take his input on this. Is it there?
Mr. Harbhajan Singh, I guess you are there, sir. Rao sir, I guess he is disconnected. In the meantime, I'll try to reach him.
ओके ओके, आप कर लीजिए, नो प्रॉब्लम, नो इश्यूज. सो अभी हम लोग फिर वो आलवा साहब का जो स्लाइड्स था ना, सो लेट्स गो थ्रू दोस.
Okay, sir. Give me a minute.
एक बार रिवीजन कर लेते हैं. जो स्लाइड्स था ना वो आप डालिएगा प्लीज. आप स्लाइड शो में रख के एक एक चेंज कीजिएगा, 4 ही तो स्लाइड है उनका.
Just a second, sir.
उसको open तो करो.
Can you speak, sir?
हाँ, स्लाइड शो मोड में ले लीजिएगा.
Okay.
हाँ, पहला स्लाइड से ले जाइए. थोड़ा से हमने अभी तक उनसे जो सीखा है ना, सो पहला स्लाइड का. अच्छा, इज इट ओके इफ आई मिक्स अप हिंदी फ्रेंड्स? हेलो.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ, नहीं,
Not an issue, sir.
आदत है बीच बीच में हिंदी में बात करने का. सो वन क्लैरिटी आप देख लीजिएगा, ये जो कोड्स में आया है, एक सिंप्लीफिकेशन आया है, एमालगमेट कर दिया. सेम थिंग संजीव जी बोला है, आलवा जी बोला है कि 3 एक्ट को IR कोड बना दिया. जैसे सोशल सिक्योरिटी का 9 एक्ट्स को बनाया, ये 13 एक्ट का ऑक्यूपेशनल सेफ्टी कोड ऑन वेजेस का, ये 4 मिनिमम वेज, पेमेंट ऑफ वेजेस का एक्चुअली इसको इकट्ठा कर लिया. दिस इज वन गुड थिंग. आपका पास सो मेनी एक्ट्स आपको करना पड़ता था, सो मेनी रूल्स पढ़ना पड़ता था. अभी आप 4 कोड पढ़ेंगे, एक बहुत बड़ा सिंप्लीफिकेशन हुआ है. दिस इज वन. नेक्स्ट चलिए, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. संजीव जी नेक्स्ट स्लाइड दिखाइए. हाँ, नेक्स्ट आप देखेंगे इसमें एक डेफिनेशन जो होता है ना, अभी करंट में क्या हो रहा था हमारा, वी वर रेफरिंग टू डेफिनेशन ऑफ एवरीथिंग इन डिफरेंट एक्ट्स. एक एक्ट में एक डेफिनेशन, दूसरे एक्ट में एक डेफिनेशन, ऐसा नहीं है. यहाँ पे जो भी वर्ड यूज हुआ है उसका डेफिनेशन चारों कोड में सेम है. ये बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज है. जो भी एक डेफिनेशन आता है चारों कोड में सेम है. जैसे एक एम्प्लॉयर का डेफिनेशन है, एक वर्कर का डेफिनेशन है. ये 2 डेफिनेशन दिया उन्होंने. जैसे तो एक एम्प्लॉयर में मैनेजर्स है, सुपरवाइजर्स है, टेक्निकल से टेक्नोलॉजी वाला सबको दिया है. ये वर्कर में वर्कर 2, ऐसा डेफिनेशन 2 बना दिया. बहुत क्लियर है, सभी एक्ट में सेम है. और फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट तो गेम चेंजर है, आपको बताया उन्होंने. जैसे स्ट्राइक था, स्ट्राइक में क्या था, ओनली एसेंशियल का उसमें आपको स्ट्राइक का नोटिस देना, बोला सभी जगह में नोटिस देना. पहले क्या होता था, सम पीपल विल गैदर एंड कंसर्टेड स्ट्राइक, आएंगे अंदर आके फिर दे विल स्टॉप वर्क, बट उसको हम स्ट्राइक नहीं बोल सकते. अब ये बोल रहे हैं कि अगर कोई कंसर्टेड एक्शन हुआ है, मैंने सब मिलके कुछ काम किया है, कंसर्टेड एक्शन मिलके, और वहां पे 50% पार्टिसिपेट किया है, इसको स्ट्राइक माना जाएगा. सिमिलरली वेजेस में एक बहुत बड़ा चीज है, वेजेस में कि वेजेस में जो बेसिक वेज DA रिटेंशन अलाउंस छोड़ के बाकी जितना बेनिफिट्स है कैन नॉट बी मोर देन 50%. सो उसके बाद आपका, इसका मतलब क्या हो रहा है कि आपका जो इम्पैक्ट है सोशल सिक्योरिटी वगैरह में, इट कैन नॉट बी लेस देन 50%. अगर वो 50% ज्यादा नहीं हो रहा है तो इट बी लेस देन ये और क्या है, ये ग्रीवांस रिजल्ट छोड़ दीजिएगा. नेक्स्ट देखेंगे, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में कंपाउंडिंग ऑफेंसेस वगैरह हम नहीं जा रहे. ये आप देखिए कि डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन के लिए ये एक अच्छा है. दिस इज फ्रॉम ए एम्प्लॉई पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, मल्टीपल एवेन्यूज दिया है अभी. सो दैट इज ए बहुत बड़ा चीज है. और रिट्रेंचमेंट वाला आपको तो मालूम है, इसमें अगर आप किसी को मैंने फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट में जब एम्प्लॉयमेंट टर्म खत्म हो रहा है, इट इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड रिट्रेंचमेंट. और ये जो स्टैंडिंग ऑर्डर वाला उन्होंने बताया कि पहले था 100+ होने से आपका स्टैंडिंग ऑर्डर लेके सर्टिफाई कराना पड़ता है, अभी 300 के ऊपर करना पड़ता है. तो समाधान पोर्टल तो कंप्लेंट कंपाउंड इलेक्ट्रिकल वाला है। और देखिए नेक्स्ट में कोई इंपॉर्टेंट है, देखते हैं। और स्लाइड है इनका संजीव जी, और भी स्लाइड है इनका?
Yes, sir. There is another slide. Give me
हाँ,
a moment, sir.
क्या है इसमें? वो ESI एक्ट में है, इसमें फैक्ट्री है। सो हम लोग अभी ऐसा कर लेते हैं ना, अभी जितना बात हुई है IR कोड में, हाँ, सो अगर कोई क्वेश्चन आए कि एक बार देख लेते हैं। क्योंकि देखिए जो 4 कोड जो हुआ है, आई एम जस्ट एड्रेसिंग टू द पार्टिसिपेंट्स। मेन चीज है इसमें IR कोड वाला। अब देखिए मेन जो वेजेस एंड सोशल सिक्योरिटी, उससे ज्यादातर जो हमारा इमीडिएट इम्पैक्ट वाला है इज द IR कोड। ऑफ कोर्स गिग वर्कर्स को सोशल सिक्योरिटी में ले आया है, दोज आर ऑल देयर, बट ये बहुत बड़ा है IR कोड में कि आपका जो ट्रेड यूनियंस एक्ट एंड ID एक्ट एंड स्टैंडिंग ऑर्डर को इकट्ठा किया है। दैट्स ए वेरी मेजर change and we should all welcome that. We should all welcome that. And जैसा आलवा साहब का कहना था, आपने उनका लैंग्वेज देखा होगा कि हमारा चांबर किले। I liked his approach. So he was trying to see everything from an MSME point of view से। No, that approach was good. भाई MSME सेक्टर के लिए ये कहाँ तक लागू होता है, इसका क्या रेलेवेंस है, इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट है। हरभजन जी आ गए। हरभजन जी, आलवा साहब का कुछ नेटवर्क का इशू है, तो अभी हम आपको ढूंढ रहे थे। संजीव जी आ गया?
Yes. So Harbin sir, आपसे जानना चाहेंगे कि what will be the changes which has happened in last in these codes. So what is your perspective on this? Ki how they are going to benefit the employer, and what is your take on that?
See, when I see it from my perspective, the name itself is Industrial Relations Code.
Yeah.
So, and earlier all the acts now which have been encompassed, whether it is Industrial Disputes Act, Trade Union Act, Standing Order, Employment Act, they were all very important acts, and their core objective was basically to maintain the harmony, resolve the disputes, ensure some sort of discipline at the shop floor. And as Mr. Rao had been rightly saying, that industrial relations code is the core of the changes. Now, there are certain good things which have happened. Like what I find is that earlier, as I said, that as I was hearing, that now we find that grievance redressal committee will come into force, which will have equal representation of employers and employees. There are certain definitions which have gone for a change. The wages have been more categorically defined that 50% of the takeaway will be wages and rest can be allowances. So many confusions which have been there will get resolved over a period of time. Going on strike will not be that easy. Like I used to analyze, and I find that many constitutions of the unions used to say that in order to go for a strike, you have to pass a resolution in the general body that 2/3 of your workforce should agree for it. But hardly anybody was doing it. The people used to just go on strike, flash strikes, and the new system which has evolved was that instead of striking outside the organization, people used to tool down, sit inside the organization, you know, um, uh, take officers as hostages and pose a threat, and sabotage used to happen within the organization. I was only wondering that will the piece of legislation really change the culture at the shop? The culture of strikes, the speed of militancy, which may be, picking up at certain places. Will it really happen? See, the enforcement and how the whole thing is being enforced or how the execution is going to take place makes a lot of difference. Earlier also, the laws I used to find were quite powerful, but the execution somehow at some point of time, really missed out. We missed out on that. Some complexities were very much there, and the enforcers of the law and the executors, they know how to make it complicated when the power comes to their hand. So I think that though I look upon it as a great initiative to at least think in the direction of bringing the change. Another important thing which I was seeing forthcoming was that the workers, means 50,000 rupees is being sort of, uh, some sort of line is being drawn that 50,000 rupees is something which is even some state legislations I find coming, where they are trying to define workmen or the workmen below 50,000. We have minimum wages act, which says that you can't pay below a particular amount as a minimum wage. For a particular skill, there should be a some sort of balance, or I should say the connectivity between the skill and the value that it can draw. I find nowadays in the shop floor, there is a worker who may be a contractual worker doing the same skill and drawing only maybe 15,000 rupees, and a permanent guy doing the same skill on same lines and drawing maybe 1 lakh rupees. And many a times we try to promote the workmen to officers, and there is a big resistance from the union, though they may be drawing more than lakh a salary, but still they want them to be defined as workers only, and they don't want them to be defined as officers or get out of the fold of the union. So I think these steps are gradually going to make a big difference. Another big thing which I find to be happening is that the labor department used to keep on, shuttling the cases of disputes backward and forward. Means the conciliation used to be so long drawn that the meaning of justice used to get lost for the workman. I think now he has the option open to move ahead after a certain frame of time. So these are some of the things which will definitely make a big difference so far as the industrial relations scenario is concerned. That is my
Yeah.
take.
So another question, Mr. Singh. This question came to me from multiple people. So earlier it was when you talk of the labor laws, generally the workman was the boss over there. So will this change bring some, advantage or some kind of relief to the white collar people also? These new codes?
See, I tell you, I see for white collar people, especially those in the management, they for them means the roots of the industrial dispute acts are not there. Means they have to go for civil legislation, and the civil legislation is a very long drawn process. So I don't think that this will. I have to go into the details of the rules which are getting formulated, because the devil lies in the details. We will have to see what it says about them. But if they still have to pursue the route of the civil courts, I don't think there is any relief for them.
Okay, okay, sure. Dr. Rao, you would like to add something on this?
हाँ एक्चुअली अभी उन्होंने अभी क्या किया है, दो डेफिनेशन बनाए, एक एम्प्लॉई एक वर्कर. हाँ वर्कर वाला में दे हैव पुट मैनेजरियल स्टाफ, एम्प्लॉय में मैनेजरियल सुपरवाइजरी टेक्निकल वो सभी डाला है. सो विल ऐसे भी देखिए ऑलवेज आज भी white collar employees in large undertakings, they got into associations, they are going to forming association, they are doing collective bargaining, all that they're doing. I mean nothing new in those sectors, but ये अभी formalize होगा with this definition.
Right. So another question which is important, they have formalized the fixed term employment. On the other hand, there are contractual kind of arrangement is there. So I understand there is no change as far as deployment of contract labor into core and non-core areas, right? You got my question?
Yeah.
And if you hire somebody on fixed term, you can put him into core area also.
Yeah, now you can.
True. But then contract system will continue, because see, just because fixed term employment आया करके, employers will not be tempted to go for regular employment. उनको जो what it suits them, they will go do it. For example, large आपका देखेंगे, giving the example of retail companies and e-commerce companies, majority of them they're through contractors. even after this fixed term employment provision will come, they will still go through the contractors only. Not necessarily that they will go to the regular route, not necessarily.
So, I mean, just addition to this supplementary question, because there's certain states like I was in Himachal also. So Himachal, there was a law where you can deploy only 10% of the total manpower onto contractual role, right? So one question will be is that how these central legislation will affect the local, I mean, state level legislation. There may be conflict. Do you see the central legislation to be stronger and the state will be at the background?
नहीं, I think जब rules आएगा, ये सभी चीजें will become less relevant now. कि भाई कौन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में जा सकते हैं, नहीं जा सकते, जब फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी को एक फॉर्मलाइज हो ही गया. हाँ, सो आई थिंक ये नहीं होगा, बिकॉज वेजेस का डेफिनेशन बहुत क्लियर हो गया और सिक्योरिटी का आ गया. गिग पे भी लेंगे तो उनको सोशल सिक्योरिटी मिल रहा है. सो एम्प्लॉय भी खुश है विल कमिंग इनटू दैट फॉर्म. वो पहले क्या होता है ना, रेगुलर होने से मिलता था, ऐसा नहीं है. एम्प्लॉय एम्प्लॉय है, वर्कर वर्कर है. So whether you are going in fixed term employment or regular employment, बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा. In fact, many of the companies are already following this. I know, I mean, I'm not naming companies. They pay same wages to people appointed through contractors. That's how they maintain harmony. Anyway, I think let us come back to अगर आलवा साहब नहीं आए नहीं अभी, एक quickly major changes हम लोग let us try to understand. जैसे वेज कोड में संजीव जी, आई थॉट एक बार सभी कोड को एक बार समझ जाते हैं. इज इट ओके?
या दैट्स राइट.
हाँ, फॉर एग्जांपल वेज कोड में हम बात करते हैं. वेज कोड में जैसा था, एक एप्लीकेबिलिटी एक पर्टिकुलर लेवल के लिए था. नाउ इट इज टू बोथ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर के लिए है. दिस इज वन मेजर डिफरेंस एक वेज कोड में. अकाउंटिंग ईयर वगैरह इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. देन बोनस के लिए जो डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन होता था, पहले हमारा होता था ओनली फॉर मिसकॉन्डक्ट्स के लिए. अभी डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन का मिसकॉन्डक्ट भी है और सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट भी इसमें आ गया. बोनस कैन बी डिनाइड. ये एक चेंज है, ये सब समझने का है. एक होता है बोनस. बोनस हम लोग कैश में भी देते थे और बैंक में भी देते थे. इन द न्यू एक्ट दे आर सेइंग एवरीथिंग थ्रू बैंक. So why I am telling you all these things is, as employers, हमको ये सभी चीज चेंज करना है. कोई कैश डिस्बर्समेंट नहीं रहेगा. So this small thing, but ये सभी तैयारी कर लेना चाहिए, अभी से तैयारी करना चाहिए. एंड ये पॉश एक्ट वाला समझ जाना चाहिए कि भाई अगर कोई पॉश एक्ट में उनको लोग पेनल्टी दिया है, so you can deny bonus to him. तो ये एक मेजर चेंज है इसमें. और सोशल सिक्योरिटी में रजिस्ट्रेशन चाहिए. व्हेन देयर इज नो रजिस्ट्रेशन अराउंड एनी लेबर लॉस, तभी रजिस्ट्रेशन चाहिए, अदरवाइज नहीं चाहिए. और अपील का थोड़ा सा कुछ है, वो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. आई एम ओनली टॉकिंग गिग वर्कर्स का. कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स का कोई सिस्टम नहीं था. रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स, गिग वर्कर्स का कोई सिस्टम नहीं था. नाउ गिग वर्कर्स आर टू बी रजिस्टर्ड ऑन बेसिस ऑफ आधार कार्ड. ये एक मेजर चेंज है.
Can you please explain for the convenience of all the definition of gig workers?
Okay, gig worker ये वेस्टर्न कॉन्सेप्ट था, बाद में इंडिया में आया है कि जो फ्रीलांस होता है, that means one employee or one worker, he can work in more than one place. If you are available to work in for more than workplace and more than one organization, you become gig. That means आप यहाँ पे 15 दिन काम किया, यहाँ 15 दिन काम किया, और यहाँ पे 3 दिन काम किया हफ्ता में, दूसरे जगह में 3 दिन काम किया, और यहाँ पे सुबह किया, वहाँ सेकेंड हाफ में काम किया. ये फ्रीलांस में शुरू हुआ था ये. अब ये वर्कर से लेके जनरल मैनेजर तक हो रहा है. तो ये वेस्टर्न कॉन्सेप्ट में उसको इंटरिम मैनेजर बोल रहे हैं, यहाँ पे हम लोग उसको सबको गिग बोल रहे हैं. सो द गिग वर्कर इज अ वर्कर whom we take him for specific hours in a day, specific days in a week or a period. So it is slightly different from fixed term employment. Fixed term employment में वो बोल रहे हैं आप उनको लिया 3 महीने के लिए, 2 महीने के लिए, 1 महीने के लिए और 6 महीने के लिए. यहाँ पे you are taking a gig worker for specific hours, specific period, and we have no objection if he works for another organization.
Right. Yeah, sure. Okay.
तो ये एक नया चीज एस्टेब्लिश होने वाला है. और क्या इनको बताया है हम लोग, प्रोविडेंट फंड में का प्रोविडेंट फंड IR कोड में इंडस्ट्री का डेफिनेशन बहुत क्लैरिटी आया है, रिट्रेंचमेंट का बहुत क्लैरिटी आया है. सो इट एक्सक्लूड्स टर्मिनेशन ऑफ सर्विस ऑफ ए वर्कर रिजल्ट ऑफ कंप्लीशन ऑफ टेन्यूर ऑफ ए फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट. उनका अगर फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट हुआ है, कंप्लीट हुआ है, वो चले गए, तो उसको अब रिट्रेंचमेंट क्लॉज लागू नहीं होगा. ये है जैसा मैंने एम्प्लॉय का आपको बताया था, एम्प्लॉय विल कवर स्किल्ड, सेमी स्किल्ड, manual, operational, supervisory, managerial, administrative, clerical, most of them will cover under employee. And worker में भी not only the worker, sales promotion worker को भी worker का definition में दिया है. And very interestingly, ये जो भी definition है चारों कोड में ये सेम है. यूनियन का शायद मैं वेट कर रहा था, अलवा साहब आएंगे बताएंगे. ये मैंने इंडिपेंडेंस से चल रहा है डिस्कशन कि भाई नेगोशिएटिंग यूनियन कौन है. आपके पास 3 यूनियन है, 4 यूनियन है, ये कौन नेगोशिएट करेगा आपसे. एक 2 जगह में, मध्य प्रदेश में और बॉम्बे महाराष्ट्र में, वो 2 जगह में हुआ था. बाकी सगा जगह में ये हमेशा एक ग्रे एरिया होता था. तो ये अभी दे हैव क्लियर्ड इट नाउ, बहुत क्लियरली बता दिया कि हु कैन बी दी नेगोशिएटिंग यूनियन. ये एक मेजर अच्छा चेंज आया है. So this was one. इंडस्ट्रियल ट्रिब्यूनल का बताया उन्होंने, 2 मेंबर का होगा. री-एम्प्लॉयमेंट ऑफ रिटेंट वर्कर का ये है 1 साल का बाद. और फ्लैश स्ट्राइक तो बिल्कुल ही प्रोहिबिटेड है. विदाउट नोटिस वाला स्ट्राइक है, किसी को नहीं दिया. और उन्होंने स्ट्राइक का तो 14 दिन का नोटिस, हरभजन साहब भी ने बोला है नोटिस देना पड़ेगा. और पहले होता था ओनली पब्लिक यूटिलिटी में देना है, नहीं देना है, ऐसा नहीं है. सब जगह में किसी में भी 14 डेज का देना है. एक है ये फंड है, नया चीज सरकार ने बात किया है, वर्कर्स रीस्किलिंग फंड. जैसा आप किसी कंपनी में आप अभी किसी को रिट्रेंच करते हो तो आपको ये फंड में आपको योगदान देना है. लोग बोलते हैं ये बहुत छोटा है, कम है, बट देन एक शुरुआत है. रीस्किलिंग फंड एक होगा, हो सकता है गवर्नमेंट इसको टॉप अप करेगा, बट एक नया चीज इसमें आया है. और क्या, ऑक्यूपेशनल सेफ्टी वगैरह में तो काफी चीज, बहुत सारे अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर देना सबके लिए, रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाना है, और इंफॉर्मेशन, राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन, और वो सभी 150 डेज. और ये एनुअल लीव वाला बहुत क्लियरली 20 डेज में 1 दिन, वो सभी बहुत काफी सिंप्लीफिकेशन आया है. दैट्स अ गुड थिंग फॉर अस. एनकैशमेंट का प्रोविजन, अभी एनकैशमेंट का प्रोविजन है, अबव सीलिंग वो आ गया. विमेन का आ गया, यू कैन एम्प्लॉयर कैन एम्प्लॉय विमेन बिटवीन 7 PM to 6 AM, मैंने नाइट शिफ्ट में भी आप विमेन को ले सकते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स विद द कंसेंट तो चाहिए. और वो एक आ गया. देन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लेबर का लाइसेंस फॉर एंगेजिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कैन बी ऑब्टेन फॉर मोर देन 1 स्टेट. पहले का स्टेट वाइज होता था. सो ये सभी सुविधा हुआ है. दीज आर ऑल गुड थिंग्स हैव कम. देन फैक्ट्री लाइसेंस का बात हुई है. देन क्या बताएंगे. हाँ, आई थिंक
one point I would like to make is,
सर बिल्कुल.
See, so far as the trade unions are concerned, for them one welcoming change is that the recognition of the trade union was entirely the discretion of the management earlier. We had seen the scenarios where, say, 1,000 people are employed and the guys with 700 mandate get the union registered. Parallel union used to get registered even with 100 people, and the management should give the recognition to that union, which had only 100 people backing it, and deny the recognition to the unions which had the majority support with them. Now all those things are not going to happen, and the recognition is now systematized and legally uh, in a legal framework. Anybody who is having more than 50% will be the bargaining agent. Which was not there earlier. Even the guys with the 10% mandate, if recognized by the management, used to become the bargaining agent,
Yeah.
and the majority backing unions used to be left out. So this is one major change which is going to, affect the trade unions in a very big way.
आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन का भी बता दिया ना, 10% और 100
Yeah,
वर्कर्स चाहिए
registration,
बता दिया ना.
Instead of 7, you require 10% now.
10%.
That is
Otherwise तो आपको you know it in Bokaro Steel में हम लोग we had 102 registered unions.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the multiplicity thing, like at least some direction will happen. And even if nobody has a exact 50%, then we see like how they make it happen. And
but लोग पूछ रहे हैं कि अगर 50% नहीं है तो क्या होगा?
जो अभी हो रहा है
नहीं, मिल के आएंगे, इसमें क्या है?
मिल के आएंगे, maybe 3-4 of them from
50%. आएंगे, 2 लोग मिल के आएंगे.
Yeah. That's it. The important thing is that anybody who can present 50% mandate will have the right to bargain.
Yeah.
And they have to be recognized. You can't deny them the right to bargain. Earlier, which you could do that.
Right.
हाँ जी, संजीव जी.
Can we move to the next section, Mr. Rao?
हमारा सेक्शन तो कोई लॉ नहीं है ना. बताइए.
Okay, so now we're coming to the second section, which is the lead will be Mr. Singh, and the pointed question will be so the basic question is how you see these changes. The pointed question is, had these changes met the industry expectation? Question number 2 will be, how will they impact the industry working? And third one will be, what are the challenges you foresee and how they are perceived by the industry? So 3 questions to you, Mr. Singh.
At the outset, I would say that these changes are definitely going to impact the industry. There are the changes in terms of definitions. There are changes in terms of recognition of the trade unions. There are changes of the mechanisms of resolving disputes, allowing the workmen to go to the labor court directly, and how these changes are reproduced by the states in their, because they are in the act where the fines were increased for the on road safety. Many states had overnight reduced them and brought them to their earlier levels. So means anything which is there on the concurrent list. So what percolates down and how the states take them, because the final executions happens at the level of the state. The executing machinery lies with the state. So we will have to see that how they assimilate, how they collaborate with the center, and how there is a common path which is adapted to make the essence or the spirit come into existence. If there is a difference in the opinion of the center and of the states, and if there is a clash between the governments, then I think that there will be a lot of struggle to make them actually become operational in the right spirit. That is one point. Second, the challenge which I see mainly is the execution part. See, labor department. Now, labor department, how first I think that we require a big educational exercise for the people operating in the labor department. Means how they take it, what will be their new roles, how will they, expedite, how will the industry perceive it, and how the whole system. See, it will take some time for the system to get accustomed to the new laws, and that is something which we will have to see over a period of time. Because what I find is that once it comes to the states, means the prevalent culture, it may not be easy for the prevalent culture to change overnight. But nevertheless, the change is a change and it has to be welcomed. And I think that it will, one thing which has been tried to be addressed very strongly is to provide flexibility to the industry by providing scope for fixed term employment, by categorically defining the workmen and employees, by providing alternative disputes resolutions. These are something which are a sort of welcome change, and these are going to help us out in the long run. The need of the industry has been and will always be for flexibility. Whereas means I find that at many states there is a pressure to recruit people from the regional areas, like 80% of the people should be recruited from this particular state only, and it has already started in some states, and it is like pandemic, it spreads very fast. Once some state does something which is populistic, every other state blindly follows it. So I think that we will have to really see that how these changes settle down, and how the uh, all the partners, not only the management side, but also the labor side and the government side, actually play their roles in making them sail smoothly. That is what I think that is going to happen. The major challenge lies with the execution.
Yeah.
Everybody will have their own interpretations. There will be again disputes. We will be going back to the courts, and the judicial process is so long that by the time you get the justice, you lose the meaning of the justice. So these are some of the things that we will have to wait and watch. But industry, as always, will find its own ways to move ahead. That I am sure.
So general perception is that they are pro-employer. So how? What is your comment on that?
Uh, uh, I would not say that they are pro-employer. Now providing a recognition mechanism to the trade unions. I will say it is pro-union. Providing alternative dispute resolutions to the workmen. I think that it is the pro-worker. Providing fixed term employment opportunity to the employers. I would not say that it is pro-employer. Earlier also, in some of the standing orders which I had seen, had the provisions for fixed term contract, and they were employing people on fixed term contract because the work standing order was approved and it had the provision for term contract. Now it has become a law, but earlier people used to find ways and means to get the people employed on fixed term. So I don't see that there is something which was not there earlier and which has now all of it, which has now come all out of bolt from the blue. And I think,
So there is ample balance.
yeah, there is a balance. I don't say that
Okay.
it is one-sided. There is a balance.
Dr. Rao, you would like to add something?
No, I think Mr. Alwa has joined. एक बार उनसे बात कर लीजिए. I just saw him.
Right. Advocate Alwa, are you there? You're not visible on the screen.
I saw him on the screen. Just now I saw him on the screen.
Sandeep, the people who are not visible are all pervasive.
Okay.
नहीं देखिए industry, what Harbhajan Bhai has said, it how you see don't again for our friends from the industry के लिए, he's saying it is a balanced one. See, when government does something, it takes care of all stakeholders. But one common thing is doing business. When you say ease of doing business at the cost of somebody, no. Ease of doing business, a business establishment chalana easier है. It's easier for all. Employee, employer, business will run better. That's it. तभी तो investments आएगा. तो इसको ease of doing business should not be seen as a pro-employer or something. No. That's what Harbhajan was saying.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So, Dr. G.V. Rao, one question to you. I mean, there's in terms of wages, the definition of wages, and then the fixed term employment, and some contribution passed on after the fixed term employment is over. Do you see, I mean, some kind of financial impact on the organization for these changes?
Yes, there will be. So depending on the organization to organization, because social security का cost बढ़ेगा, then having labor officer वाला cost बढ़ेगा, having registers का बढ़ेगा, cost of digitalization है. So there will be cost and benefit है, but overall net it is for the benefit only. सबका बैंक अकाउंट खुलवाना पड़ेगा, all those kind of things. So gig को आपको social security देना पड़ेगा, आपको इन रिट्रेंचमेंट जो फंड है, फंड में आपको कंट्रीब्यूट करना पड़ेगा. ऑल दैट यू हैव टू डू इट. बट नेट देखिए, एक बार बिजनेस अच्छा चलेगा ना, ये सभी स्मॉल हो जाता है. जब बिजनेस अच्छा चलता है ना, दिस बिकम्स वेरी स्मॉल. आवर टोटल लेबर कॉस्ट इज नथिंग इन आवर कंट्री.
So, with that, I think we come to you, Dr. Rao, now, and I mean, we need important advice from you that how, what is the role of HR in leveraging the code of better industrialization. The key point here is that law doesn't bring productivity and quality. It's ultimately the relationship of the employer and employee produce, give better quality and bottom line. So what will be your message to?
Sure. Actually, I wanted to talk from a relationship point of इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस कैसा मेंटेन होगा, उसको और मजबूत कैसा करना है, उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से मैं बात करूंगा. जब भी मैं बात करना चाहता हूं, आई सी मिस्टर आल्वा ऑन द स्क्रीन. अब एक बार बात कर लो, ही इज देयर ऑन द स्क्रीन. यू वांट टू टॉक टू हिम, टॉक टू हिम.
We can take after your.
Okay. No, because as a legal point of view, I wanted him to talk. See, friends, my limited next 5-6 minutes, what I wanted to say is not from a legal point of view. Or legal point of view, I was only representing Mr. Alva and clarifying. Today's panel, my role is very clear कि हमारा इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशन, औद्योगिक शांति किसको और कैसे मजबूत करें. सो उसके लिए क्या करना है, पार्टली प्लांट मैनेजर, पार्टली HR मैनेजर, पार्टली IR मैनेजर को क्या करना है. दिस इज ऑल मोर management then legal. Okay, what I'm now going to say is more management. How do we improve our industrial relations? Number one, जब भी इस टाइप का मेजर चेंजेस होता है कानून में, एक्ट, रूल्स, इंटरप्रिटेशंस, अथॉरिटीज, ऑल दोस थिंग्स का आपको स्टडी करना चाहिए. एंड यू मस्ट डू अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम्स फॉर मैनेजर्स, फॉर यूनियन लीडर्स, फॉर एम्प्लॉइज. एनी एक्ट, जैसे हम एक पॉश एक्ट जैसा कर रहा था, इसमें भी ऑल कोड्स में व्हाट डज इट मीन टू अस, व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ एम्प्लॉयर, व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ वर्कर, what is strike, what is not strike, what is retrenchment, what is the retrenchment fund, what is the eligibility for bonus now, what is the eligibility for gratuity now, what is gig, everything एक बना के, एक पैकेज बना के कम्युनिकेशन प्रोग्राम करना है, अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम करना है. एवरीबडी नीड नॉट बी एन एक्सपर्ट. वकील रहते हैं, लीगल एक्सपर्ट रहेंगे, बट एक बेसिक अवेयरनेस करना है. दैट इज द नंबर वन, दैट इज ए. Number two is we are as IR manager, HR managers, we should now see that law जो बना है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, how it will help business. See, the law has to be an enabler. Law should be an enabler to run business smoothly. See, to run industrial relations, to pay wages, to provide social security, all these things को systematize करना है, so that business shanti se chalega. So you must see the business linkage. If you do this, how it is improving productivity. If you do this, how are you able to manage your manpower planning. If you do this, how are you planning your total cost. So that is that business orientation is the second thing I would require. The third part I will say is very, very important part I am touching now is collaboration and partnership. Don't for even for a minute, don't think that ये law आया है, ये it is only for the employer, इसमें employer का ये फायदा है, हम easily returns कर सकते हैं, हम लोग easily आदमी को ऐसा कर लेंगे. No, please don't do it, please. Then industrialization खराब होने वाला. You must use it with care. So आप collaborative way में कीजिए. मैन पावर प्लानिंग अगर आपका कंपनी में सिस्टम है टू टॉक टू द यूनियंस, देन डिसाइड द मैन पावर. नाउ फॉर डिसाइडिंग हाउ मेनी रेगुलर, हाउ मेनी कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल, हाउ मेनी गिग, सेम प्रोसेस फॉलो कीजिए. आई एम नॉट सेइंग डोंट गो फॉर कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल, डोंट गो फॉर गिग, बट अगर प्रोसेस कंसल्टेशन का होता है, आज भी कंसल्टेशन रखिएगा. पहले हम रेगुलर का बात करते थे, रेगुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल गिग की बात करेंगे अभी. सो वो कोलैबोरेशन नहीं करना है. अगर कहाँ पे हमको फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट करना है, so they will also agree. Suppose आपको एक वेल्डर रखना है, 3 दिन में काम चलता है, they will also agree 3 दिन के लिए एक वेल्डर रखिएगा. They will not say, अगर they know that seasonal variation होता है, you are doing some work, वहाँ पे सेल आपने एक OEM है, you are making components for an OEM, and the real demand comes in January, and you have to produce everything in October, November, you might require more people. You might take more contractual people, or more gig people, or more fixed time employee. So you can talk. That is called the collaboration part. D part, I am going by ABCD. D is digitalization. जैसे कोविड आया है, हम लोग सब ऑनलाइन गया है ना. कोविड आया तो हम लोग सब ऑनलाइन गया है. ऑनलाइन बोर्ड मीटिंग, ऑनलाइन टीम मीटिंग, ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम, ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग्स, ऑनलाइन रिव्यू मीटिंग्स, ऑनलाइन परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट, एवरीथिंग ऑनलाइन हो रहा है ना. पहले हमको ऑनलाइन का कोई बात करने से पीपल वेर रजिस्टरिंग, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. बोर्ड मीटिंग थोड़ी ऑनलाइन होता है. नाउ बोर्ड मीटिंग्स आर हेल्ड इन नाउ. तो सेम वे, सिंस गवर्नमेंट हैज डन द सिंप्लीफिकेशन एंड गवर्नमेंट इज डिजिटलाइजिंग, अपना लेवल में एवरीथिंग टू डिजिटलाइज्ड. हाँ, starting from compliances to payments, deductions, records, reports, communication, everything as much digital as possible आपको करना है. तो डिजिटलाइजेशन करना है, शुरू कीजिए. आप भी आई एम वेरी वरीड इन MSME सेक्टर में कैश पेमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं. नो, एवरीबडी शुड बी हैविंग ए बैंक अकाउंट, एवरीबडी शुड हैव एन आधार कार्ड. उधर KYC टाइप का होता है ना. डोंट वेट फॉर गवर्नमेंट इंस्ट्रक्शन, हमारा लेवल में KYC कर देना चाहिए. हाँ, जैसे हमारा एंटायर पर्सनल फाइल शुड बी डिजिटलाइज्ड. आधार कार्ड, पैन कार्ड, एवरीथिंग डिजिटलाइज करके कर देना चाहिए आज से. नेक्स्ट इज एम्पैथी. एम्पैथी से आप करेंगे, कभी आपका एक्शन गलत नहीं होगा. So empathy is, again, I told you, this part, I am not talking as a legal person, I am talking as an HR executive like you. If you take any action with empathy, empathy is different from sympathy. Sympathy is only when you know that there is a pain in somebody. Empathy is you feel that pain. Will you do something which you don't want that to be done with you? Will you do something with somebody which you don't want that to be done with you? अगर वो आप सोच के जाएंगे, उसका पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है, उसको क्या होगा, वर्कर हो, यूनियन हो, कोई कस्टमर हो, कोई वेंडर हो. If you go with an empathy, if you understand their perspective and do things, then शांति रहेगा. I'm only telling everything towards industrial relations. तो ABCD, A में अवेयरनेस बोला मैंने, B बिजनेस बोला, C में कोलैबोरेशन बोला, D डिजिटलाइजेशन, E में एम्पैथी बोला. अगेन मेरे को आलवा साहब दिख रहे, तो मेरे को दिख रहे. तो F is fairness. Fairness का मतलब, when you say fairness, many people confuse with fairness means agreeing. No. Fairness is not agreeing. Fairness is not agreeing. बोलते हैं ना, sometimes somebody has won the elections, so he is the best. Not necessarily. That is an election process. It's a democratic process. He may not have 51%, but he gets elected. He doesn't get 51%, he does get elected. Somebody gets more votes in a state, but their number of representatives are less. You will come across such cases. Similarly, here, fairness is not agreement. Fairness means two principles. Number one, you must consult with people before taking decisions if the decision will affect them. I'm again clarifying. You should consult with people before taking a decision if your decision affects them. If doesn't affect, आप उनको consult करने की जरूरत नहीं. Only on them. Number 2, you take a decision which may not be in agreement with the opinion of the other person. आपने सबसे बात किया है. Your decision need not be same as their opinion, but please communicate your decision to them with a rationale. क्यों आपने decide किया? That is called fairness. Fairness is consultation. Number 2, decision making based on merit, and you communicate the decision to them with the rationale why you have decided. If you do this A, B, C, D, E, F, your relations will be always congenial, productive, sustainable. हमको साथ रहना है. Industrial relations is long term, sustainable, which is based on trust, collaboration, cooperation, empathy. So that उसको मजबूत रखना है. You must follow this. Communicate करो, बिजनेस सेंस उनको लेके आओ, कोलैबोरेशन रखो, डिजिटलाइज करो उनका साथ में, एम्पैथी से काम करो, बी फेयर टू पीपल, योर रिलेशनशिप विल बी स्ट्रांग. इट इज नथिंग टू डू विद IR कोड और वेज कोड, एनी कोड. ये जो मैंने AB2 बोला हमेशा रहेगा, और इस परिप्रेक्ष्य में ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज ये कोड आया है. There is unnecessarily एक speculation हो रहा है in the minds of union and worker that ये सभी employer है, इसका misuse हो जाएगा, abuse हो जाएगा, हमारा खराब हो जाएगा. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. You must clarify to them, give them that confidence. हम लोग साथ ही करेंगे. ये किसी को अन्याय करने के लिए कोई कानून नहीं आया है. It is only to run business smoothly ये कानून आया है. ये आपके लिए भी सिंपल होगा, हमारे लिए सिंपल होगा. फंड आया है, ट्रेड यूनियन रिकग्निशन है, fixed term employment hai, gig worker will get social security. They're all for everybody. Let us together will understand this, go ahead, then आपका relationship strong रहेगा. अगर और इसके बारे में कोई क्वेश्चन होगा तो हम जवाब देंगे. I'll stop here.
Great. So, Mr. Harvinder Singh is there. Okay. So, quickly coming to you, Mr. Alva.
I am extremely sorry. Yeah, point out the questions. Sorry.
So,
Go ahead.
Quickly, if you left with something which was not told because you were cut during the discussion.
No, I will not. If there are any pointed questions, I can answer it. Or suppose if you give me 2 minutes, I will just conclude 2 additional parts. As Rao sir said, all these forms, registers, wage slips are now can be done in an electronic form. Now this PF one advantage is there that, and if a PF inspector comes to your establishment, he can ask for records only for the past or previous 5 years, not beyond that. And he has to complete his inquiry, and gratuity has to be paid on 50% of the gross salary and not on basic DA, which is being presently done. And Contract Labor Act
आपको बेसिकली उसमें 3 में उन दोनों में 2-2 कर सकते हैं. बाकी और कोई दिक्कत नहीं. बाकी मोटा-मोटा काम ठीक है. मैं सर को
than core activity. For example, housekeeping, security, canteen are considered to be non-core activities.
Right.
So these are the basic overtime.
यहाँ तक क्लियर है पहला पन्ना. Done.
So there is no change as far as Contract Labor Act is concerned, right? This is what you are saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Contract labor में contract labor का जो definition है, suppose if a person is working on a permanent basis with the contractor, then again he is not considered to be contract labor. That changes has been made. Now this contract labor, basically they want to involve this interest and migrant worker.
Right. So with that, can we go to the anything from Dr. Rao or Mr. Singh? Otherwise, we can go to the question answer session.
की बात है.
For the question answers.
Extremely sorry. बोलो सब.
I think let's go take the questions better.
Yeah.
So questions. So we have some questions with us. We also ask the participant to raise the hand if they have any pointed question. So let me read out first question for you. This is for Advocate Alva.
Yes,
The
sir.
question is from Pankaj Dhingra, FCO Tokyo, and the question is whether the code provides roadmap for quick education / resolution of dispute, and how the code is beneficial. I mean, this is very, very generic kind of question, may not be the expert, but the question is how the code is beneficial for the insurance industry.
I would say even on paper, the resolution has to be done within 3 months, 6 months, but practical purposes it is not done. And regarding insurance, this one key code does not have a very important impact on that, because basically they are under the central government. Appropriate government is the central government, so the earlier laws will continue to make applicable. Not much change.
Okay.
So, like on behalf of Sanjeev Upadhyay ji, we have some questions from the participants present here. Like Mr. Mahinder Rana wants to raise this point. Do we need to amend the standing orders for hiring workmen on fixed term employment?
Can I answer that?
Yes, sir, please.
Now the model standing orders has been made applicable to establishment having more than 300 or more. So therefore, now if I am employing less than 300, I have many options. I may not be having the standing orders at all. I can frame my own rules. In the appointment letter, I can inform the employee. Or the second option is I can borrow the model standing orders from the central governments, this one, and get it certified. You are talking about fixed term. Now, since there is no standing orders below for establishment below 300, so there is no provision for, say, I would say in the standing orders we have what is probationer, what is temporary and all that. So there is no provision. You can make your own rules. You can take advantage of that fixed term employment, issue him an appointment letter, and employ him for a fixed tenure, which can be renewed from time to time.
The Mr. Alva, the model
Yes, sir.
standing order में वो amendment आ जाएगा fixed time employment.
Model standing order, it is ये जो definition है, it has come in the body main code.
हाँ वही, that's what I'm saying. उसमें आ जाएगा वो automatic.
So now can I ask Abhay Kumar Pathak? He is raised hand. He can unmute and ask the question. Abhay Kumar Pathak.
Yeah, this side Abhay Pathak. Hey, good evening all. My question is the gratuity period, 6 months. 6 months is completed 6 months, or there is a working days? Because sometimes some workers on leave without pay.
I would say for gratuity, the qualifying period is minimum 5 years. In some matters, when the person has completed 4 years and 6 months, above 6 months, then he has to be paid gratuity. But your query is if he has completed only 6 months, no, he is not required to be paid gratuity.
Okay. Second one is the piece rate worker can consider in a gig worker or not?
Actually, if you see the code of wages, there is a changes made. Now the payment can be done. Previously, under the payment of wages, the salary has to be paid every month. Now, for this purpose of gig workers and other, the payment can be made on a weekly basis, fortnightly basis, or a weekly basis.
You are not audible between your advice. So please repeat again. Once again.
I will repeat that.
Yeah.
I will repeat that. Previously, under the Payment of Wages Act, the salary was to be paid once a month.
Right.
Now, since gig workers and the aggregators and the platform workers are now included in the code, the provision has been made for their daily payment, weekly payment, fortnightly payment, and monthly payment. So they can be paid on that basis.
Thank you, Abhay. Now my question to Mr. Singh and GP both. So there's a question from Sunil Singhal from Pontica. And the question is, units up to 300 can hire and fire without seeking government permission, and thus it might lead to increased hiring and firing. What is your opinion on that? I mean, this limit of 300 brought down. Do you see firing and hiring to be frequent?
नहीं, इसमें तो गेस वर्क नहीं कर सकते, हम तो खाली सलाह दे सकते हैं ऐसा मत करो। हम यहाँ पे बेट थोड़ी लगाएंगे, हम सोच रहे हैं कि अगर वी आर ऑल प्रोफेशनली लेते हैं चीज को, हमको इसमें आगे बिजनेस चलाना है, सस्टेनेबल बिजनेस चलाना है, इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस पीसफुल रखना है, दे विल नॉट एब्यूज ना। अगर पॉश एक्ट लेके कोई एब्यूज करना चाहते हैं, फिर वो पॉश एक्ट फेल हो जाएगा। हाँ, अगर विमेन, हमारा विमेन कलीग्स पॉश एक्ट को लेके दे वांट टू एब्यूज द एक्ट एंड फ्रेम सम मेल कलीग्स, तो कर सकते हैं, बट नहीं करना चाहिए। सेम वे अगर पॉश एक्ट है तो उसको सिंसियरली हम फॉलो करें, so we tell the male colleagues that sincerely follow karo. Same way, all these provisions are made for ease of doing business, not for abusing, not for victimizing people. Okay. This is for ease, do it for ease of doing business.
Right. So can I ask now CA Sushant to unmute and ask the question?
Yeah, thank you everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for conducting this meeting and my greetings to the panelists. Sir, this is CA Sushant Gupta. I am chartered accountant practicing in indirect tax and labor laws. Sir, my two questions are very specific to the current regime and one is to the prospective regime. Like in our cases, what we are getting, there were employees who were eligible for gratuity. They have worked for more than 30 years. But what as I also know, gratuity provisions are made in the balance sheet as well in the P&L, and the company has parked the provisions as per the law, and the funds have been used and appropriated in some or other business ventures. And now in the COVID period, what the companies are making a statement to the employees that we are having a shortage of funds and our gratuity provisions cannot be complied with. Since I am a chartered accountant practicing for more than 10 years, I know that the provisions are applicable and the money has been parked out of P&L, profit and loss account. And Mr. Alva and Mr. Rao must agree with him, as I am seeing their smiling faces regarding my query, that how now the employee should go with the company. If he opts for a legal notice, then he is reaching the 60 years of age, and it is like a mental harassment to the company, like from the company for the period like he has served. So he do not want to distribute that feeling. And if he totally go for the financial status, then the legal route is also there, or like any other suggestion to make a formal complaint. First, second, sir, but we are also taking, we have a management consultancy firms which provide a contract labor to the companies. So there was a law, Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970. Whether that act is applicable to the manpower consultancy firms who are providing the manpower services, or to those companies who are taking the manpower from the manpower companies. These are my two specific questions on the existing applicable laws.
Okay. Before Rao sir gives his expert comment, I will just
इसका जवाब इसलिए नहीं देंगे कि आपका फी हम क्यों खा जाए, आपको फी मिलने वाला है इसमें।
I would answer this about Gratuity Act. Probably you are speaking on behalf of the employee, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
Now, for any reason, if as an employee I have completed 5 years, I am supposed to be paid gratuity. Now, what the employer does with the money, misappropriates whatever, it is not my lookout. After I retire, resign gratuity. Otherwise, I can go to the controlling authority, lodge a complaint. I can get the principal amount plus interest from the controlling authority. The financial problem is not an excuse not to pay gratuity.
Yes.
सर
And sorry.
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट, आपकी सर बीच में वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही थी, क्या आप अपनी ईमेल आईडी या नंबर शेयर कर सकते हैं ऑन
Okay,
द स्क्रीन?
I will.
I think there's a better.
I will just share it.
मैंने बता दिया ना
ये-
इनको.
Should I repeat my answer?
सर नंबर विल बी
PM.
मोर वेरी मच
आपका नंबर.
Okay, no problem. I will. This is for the benefit of the other participants. I will repeat the answer. The employee has to go to the controlling authority and make an application.
Yes.
Financial problem will not be an excuse for the employer not to pay gratuity.
Yes.
Now, the second question about contract labor is, suppose if you are providing any services to a principal employer, you come under the ambit of contract labor. For example, suppose if I am a contractor, I am having manpower services and supplying manpower to Dr. Rao's establishment. I become a contractor. So there is no particular meaning attached to that, providing services under a contractor.
But sir, in this case, let's say I am having a company A and you are the esteemed company who has given me a contract to supply 100 people. So my job
principal
is
employer, you are the contractor.
no, I am a
I
manpower.
am the principal employer.
I am the employer. People are on my payroll. I am manpower supply solution.
The principal employer, you are a manpower establishment. Okay.
Yeah, I hire
Okay.
I hire people on my payroll and I provide manpower
You are
according to
shifting.
your needs. Like you have told, sir, we are
Ah.
opening our shop at X location. Provide me 10 employees, and you have given me a contract of 100 employees, 10 people at 10 different places. Now the
Okay.
people are employed with me. Now my understanding is that you are
Okay.
hiring me as a contractor. So contract labor regulation
Ah.
and evolution act is applicable on you and not on me, because I am following the normal payroll procedures or normal employee procedures. Am I correct, sir?
No, you are wrong. I would just correct you. Suppose I would just take back the same example. You are having your own 100 persons on your 100 employees on your payroll, and you are providing me manpower services, right? So before you provide manpower services, me and you need to have a written contract. I became the principal employer, you become the contractor. Then whatever manpower services you provide to me, your contractual charges plus
Again,
Let's take.
Okay. So
away from that.
So can I ask Hema Sharma? She has some question on salary, variable.
Sir, one of my suggestion to the host.
Yeah. Can I ask Hema Sharma to please?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good evening, sir. My question pertains to definition of salary. In the starting of session, we were discussing that salary has been divided into two broader, I can say
Right,
two broader
right.
areas, wherein one of being them inclusions and other being exclusions.
Right.
Now, in certain industries, we are going with the idea of variable component of salary, which is relates to performance of a particular person in their specific areas. Now, I want to know where will this variable component of salary stand, as also discussed in the starting that 50% of the exclusions would be part of wages as per the new code. So where would this variable component stand? Will it be in the part of the inclusions or in the exclusions?
Your variable component, for example, DA, that is related to the consumer price index, or it is as per the government notification? Which
Sir,
variable
that's not
component you are referring to, ma'am?
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but
I'm not-
it's not related to DA, but it is related to the performance of a person of their particular role.
Suppose if then you are saying it is a performance allowance, that is in incentives.
Yeah, sort of.
That would come
incentive.
in the second part. That would come in the second part. That cannot be taken. I will just clear whatever. Suppose if I am your employee, if I perform in a better manner, you give me incentive. So that is indirectly incentive allowances. So that would come in the second part of that. It cannot be taken into consideration for calculating wages in the first part. Wages in the first part would be basic salary, dearness allowance and retention allowance. What you are doing is that second part. It has to
All
be
right.
less than 50%.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Another question which is related to it. Can we pay certain component of salary in a duration of like 3 months or annually, or is it to be monthly only?
She's talking about
Yeah.
जो पेमेंट ऑफ वेजेस एक्ट में नहीं है ना, 7th ऑफ द मंथ में अब सैलरी देना है, उसमें कोई कानून चेंज हो रहा है क्या? यू विल पे वंस ए क्वार्टर, वंस इन 6 months, कोई कानून आ रहा है क्या? She's asking.
No. If
ऐसा
I'm
कोई
employing
कानून
more
तो
than
हमको देखा
1,000
नहीं.
employees, I can pay by 10. No. 1,000 employees, I can pay by 10, and if less than 1,000, 7. So this cannot
No.
change. It is a monthly
That
basis.
is, हाँ, वो उसमें कोई चेंज अभी तक तो हमने देखा नहीं.
सर वो बात दैट इज ओके, बट मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि अगर मेरा वेरिएबल कंपोनेंट ऐसा है जिसे मैं एनुअली या क्वार्टरली पे करना
हाँ,
चाहूँ,
वेरिएबल
तो
कंपोनेंट आप कर सकते हो.
It would be part of CTC, ma'am.
हाँ, वो तो वेरिएबल
That can
आपको,
be.
आप उसमें लिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन कर रहे हो ना एम्प्लॉयर के साथ. That is, but that will be less than 50% में, वो सेकंड पार्ट में.
जी.
Sure. So now one more question from the participant Mukesh Sharma. Mukesh Bharadwaj, can you unmute and ask the question, please? Mukesh Bharadwaj.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Yeah, actually, sir, I have one question.
Can I
Actually,
suggest one thing? This.
hello,
Yeah.
sir. Actually, I want to know about the standing order. कि standing order के लिए more than 300 employees require. क्या 300 employees or on-roll employees or contractual include in this numbers?
On-roll employee होगा, workers on your
अपना
roll.
एम्प्लॉई यार, आपका एम्प्लॉई जिसको आप अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर दिया.
Okay. And sir, one question is fixed term contract labor. Actually, we hire some employees in fixed term contract, but during the 5 to 7 years, we continue renewal on year basis. So the employee is eligible for gratuity or not?
The moment he completes 5 years, he is eligible for gratuity. Now you are keeping him on fixed term employment and renewing it was basically to deprive him about his benefits. In this case, since he has completed more than 5 years in any capacity, continuous service, he is eligible for gratuity if he makes a claim.
आपकी वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही है.
हाँ, तो उन्होंने कहा है कि अगर आप फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट हम करते थे, हर साल रिन्यू करते थे, पीपल वर डूइंग इट स्मार्टली टू अवॉइड द इम्पैक्ट ऑन ग्रेचुटी. अब बहुत क्लैरिटी आ गया, व्हेन ही कंप्लीट्स 5 years यू विल गेट ग्रेचुटी. इसलिए हम सबके लिए सलाह ये देते हैं, जब फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट में किसी को देते हैं, ग्रेचुटी प्रोविजन आपका बुक्स में रखा करो.
ओके सर. क्या फिक्स्ड
I will add one thing to Dr. Rao. Now in the fixed term definition, even if a person has completed 1 year, he is supposed to be paid gratuity.
हाँ, वो बोला आप शुरू करो, बुक्स में पैसा रखना शुरू करो.
And permanent employees 5 years.
हाँ. बोलिए मॉडरेटर सर.
मुकेश जी को कुछ पूछने हैं.
Moderator has to unmute.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are already over by some 20 minutes. So quickly we need to conclude it. We may not be taking up more questions, but you can definitely write back.
हाँ, क्वेश्चंस आप चैट बॉक्स में ले लीजिएगा. अलवा साहब को भेजो, कौन सा वो फ्रीली जवाब देंगे, किस में फी लगेगा आप डिसाइड करो.
आपका चेंबर के लिए फ्रीली जवाब देगा. आई एम मेकिंग इट क्लियर. डोंट वरी.
Advocate Alva.
In fact, sir, I have mentioned my email ID. This is Gurdarshan Agarwal. So I have mentioned my email ID in the chat box. So I would request all the participants to kindly put your questions or any queries to my email ID, and we shall get you connected with the expert speakers present here today and would revert back with all the answers, all the solutions of the queries.
Yeah. So the last, I would request Dr. Rao to conclude in a few words, and then we can, yeah.
I think today, despite some challenges with the internet, we could cover in one session all codes, because normally people take one code and take a session, because we have covered all. Wages bhi cover kiya, security bhi cover kiya, IR code bhi cover kiya. We could cover all, and we could see the real highlights, and we could see what will immediately impact industry, that is trade union registration, trade union recognition, standing orders 300 plus 300 less कैसा करना है, what is fixed term employment, और gratuity provisions, bonus के बारे में, retrenchment के बारे में, contract labor के बारे में, lot of things we could cover, and industry perspective भी समझे, and in the general points में हमने ये बताया कि भाई ये जो एक्ट्स आया है सिंप्लीफिकेशन के लिए आया है, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के लिए आया है, हर स्टेक होल्डर का इंटरेस्ट प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आया है. इट इज नॉट फॉर वन, बट एस in this forum we will only, it's right that we have to see, we have to run business, we are seeing from running a business point of view हमने किया है, but then in order to have very productive industrial relations, congenial industrial relations, आप communications करवाइएगा, और जरूर आप डिजिटलाइजेशन कराओ, और बिजनेस ओरिएंटेड रखो उसको, और एम्पैथी के साथ, फेयरनेस के साथ आप करोगे, तो आपका रिलेशंस लॉन्ग टर्म रहेगा, जो फायदा होना है वो लॉन्ग टर्म रहेगा. सो वी विल नॉट डू एनीथिंग फॉर ए टेम्पररी गेन, फॉर ए परमानेंट लॉस. जो परमानेंट टेम्पररी बात चल रहा है ना, वी वांट परमानेंट बेनिफिट, परमानेंट पीस, परमानेंट रिलेशनशिप. सो ये हमको करना है, स्टेप बाय करेंगे, फिक्स टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट करेंगे, लेकिन इफ इज नीडेड फॉर एवर विल गिव हिम. अब उनको फर्दर आप रिन्यूअल नहीं करते हैं क्या? करते हैं ना. सो इवन सेम वे रिलेशनशिप आल्सो रिन्यू होते जाएगा, बट देन लॉन्ग टर्म रखना है. So that is what we have done. Wonderful questions were there, lot of good questions were there. We appreciate that. जब questions अच्छा questions होता है ना, we will be starting thinking. अलवा साहब, हरभजन जी, हम भी सोचे, and whosoever questions का आंसर नहीं हुआ है, as committed, वो हर questions का जवाब दिया जाएगा. So kindly write to PhD chamber, and we will definitely come back to you with the right responses to you. And I have clarified, every response need not be in agreement with you, but will be fair with you. We will give you the right advice, not necessarily what you want. Whatever is right, whatever is fair, that advice will be flowing from. Thank you, sir. Over to our moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. And one thing I can identify, the need for the next training. And there are a lot of questions on the wages. So we need to, of course, people can send across the questions, but there is a lot of queries on the wages, change in wages, and this compensation part. So with that, I conclude, and I invite Mr. Anuj Agarwal, the convener for Panchkula Zone, Haryana chapter of PhD Chamber of Commerce, to take it from this point. Thank you so much for giving us chance. Thank you all panelists and all participants. It was wonderful interacting with you so much. Thank you so much.
Mr. Anuj Agarwal ji, for your vote of thanks, sir.
Yeah, so thank Gurdarshan. Thanks for arranging such a beautiful session. It was indeed a good learning. I would like to thank Dr. G.P. Rao, Advocate Satyaraj Alwa, Mr. Harbhajan Singh. It could not have been possible without your expert knowledge. We look forward to your support in our future programs as well, because as the new acts come out, the practice starts taking place, some issues will then come up. So I think we should have a follow-up also, say next quarter, when people have imbibed the new laws. So this is a very, very drastic change, consolidating in a lot of acts into 4. So there would be challenges in the implementation as well. I would like to thank Mr. Rakesh Baluni, the founder for TDS Placements and Services. I remember when we started Altruist 15 years back, he was our first consultant to be hired for all the legal labor related work. and we both have grown together. So it gives a lot of pride. He has TDS Placements and Services has sponsored this program. They are a renowned outsourcing and management service providing company. I would suggest all the members of PhD to connect with Mr. Ballooni for all your hiring needs or labor law needs and all. Special thanks to Mr. Sanjeev Upadhyay, founder Ubic Talents, for being the knowledge partner for this program. I would like to once again thank Gurdarshan and everyone who joined this program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Rao. Thank you all participants. Thank you, Mr. Garg.
Bye bye.
Bye.